Okay, y'all seen the little war that's starting to brew between the African, Caribbean, and Black American community? I think all of that is just such nonsense, and I feel like us as Black people, period, we should be coming together to fight against the system that is against us.
Wow guys, welcome back to my channel, Yano Show. Hey, hope you're good, hope you're fine. I just want to appreciate you guys for the support you're showing my channel. So guys, today let's want to talk about something interesting here, about Black Americans, Africans, and Caribbeans. So we've seen that this online war between these two groups, and Caribbeans are saying that they don't like these African Americans, and Africans are saying that they don't like these African Americans, and vice versa. So the difference and the similarities and the reason behind this online war that I have collected today to show you what the reaction and what is going on between these three groups. So guys, here are some of the reaction that I have complied about these three groups. So don't go anywhere, just let us watch this commentary about African Americans, Africans, and Caribbean. So don't go anywhere, just subscribe, like, comment, and share.
Alright guys, let's talk about why Caribbeans don't like us so much. I'm pretty convinced that Caribbeans are the other 10 tribes of Israel. Not all Caribbeans, but a lot of them. And if you know anything about the Bible, you know that the 10 tribes of Israel separated themselves from the kingly tribe Judah in the Old Testament. In fact, the 10 tribes aligned themselves with Assyria against us to get us enslaved, but it backfired on them, and they got enslaved also. They've had contempt for us ever since we tried to help Joseph out. See, the other 10 tribes, when they were just children, they had left Joseph to be taken by the Egyptians because they were jealous of him. But the only person to go back for him was Judah, because Judah has the biggest heart. The 10 tribes never liked Judah, and they still don't like us today. So we're trying to unite with the Caribbeans when the Caribbeans and Africans have an ancient beef against us.
Okay, y'all seen the little war that's starting to brew between the African, Caribbean, and Black American community? I think all of that is just such nonsense, and I feel like us as Black people, period, we should be coming together to fight against the system that is against us. Not only that, it's not gonna benefit whether us stop, using each other's services, like for example, boycotting the Africans, braiding shops and stuff like that. Like, you guys don't realize this is literally what they wanted us to do. Okay, so I'm Haitian American, right? Just don't forget that Haitian people were the first Black nation in the Western Hemisphere to actually get their independence. Not only with that, we also helped Louisiana fight against, colonism. Yes, all I'm trying to say is us being not united is not going to be beneficial.
Africans versus African Americans and Caribbeans. I'm a 47-year-old, about to be 40-year-old Black man growing up in Philadelphia. 35 years ago, 40 years ago, when I was a kid growing up here on the East Coast in Philadelphia, there were a lot of Caribbean people here. There was predominantly African Americans, and then you had some Africans, mainly Liberian and people from Ghana. And the division that you have today, that you see today going all across social media and stuff, that didn't exist in Philadelphia. That didn't exist in the Black community. Everybody was Black for the most part. Yeah, we made fun of Africans at times, and we bust on each other about our different accents and stuff like that, but everybody was Black. You didn't really see interracial dating like Africans, Liberians, and Ghanaians with white women or white men, and we all lived in the same community together. We ate at each other's houses. We had babies with each other. Most of the Africans that came here got pretty much integrated into the African American culture, and so did the Jamaicans and the Trinidadians. That's the way it was in like the 70s and the 80s and stuff growing up. It wasn't this division that they have, but with this division, me being on the East Coast, I have a lot of African friends, right? And friends from like the Caribbean. And one of my African friends from the Ivory Coast, we had a discussion, and he told me, he said, brother, you can't be mad at too many of the coons that come here, and I was like, wow. I was like, what do you mean? No, they come here and they try to undermine us African Americans, and you know they side with white supremacy against us. So what I did was I listened to him, and he listened to me. I listened to his side, he listened to my side, and he broke some stuff down. He said, you got to understand the way colonization worked in West Africa, in the Ivory Coast where he came from. He said when he first came here, he was a Sambo. His idea was getting a good job and getting a white woman, because that's what he was taught damn near all of his life. There in West Africa, they deal with tribalism, and they never really seen themselves under the white man's foot the way we've been, where we understand the tactics of white supremacy, how it works, and all those things. They never seen this stuff like that. They seen their families fight against other African tribes. So their fight and their enemies were other black people. They seen white people as their saviors. Now, he wasn't saying whether this was right. He said, but this is just what it was. So growing up, they came with the Islam or their Christianity. They came bearing gifts and food and stuff for the villages. They came with medicines. And so the people that was trying to kill them, or their enemies, were other Africans, because African is very tribalistic, very tribal. So he was saying that, here, when he came here and he's been around African Americans, he learned that African Americans don't understand the African colonization and what they did to the African mind. Right? And then he was like, you guys in America, you view us as y'all brothers, and when y'all come over to fall in line. He said, but when a lot of Africans come here, they see y'all as another black tribe or enemy, and they see the white people as their savior. He said, but when you go to Ivory Coast, there's millions of Africans that's pro-black, pro-revolution, understand who the enemy is. They're there. He said, but they would never show them on TV, and they do their best to stop African Americans from uniting with those Africans to bring a change, a global change. He said, American TV don't show the black rebels or the black revolutionaries that's in Africa. He said, because the same ones we have here, they have there, but we won't know it because they only show us the Sambos that come over here that turn against our people. He said, and I told him, I said, well, in America, we call out our traitors. We hold them accountable. And he was like, yeah, and I told him, I ended with this. I told him, I said, see, we've never got a chance to leave the place that was oppressing us and go to a place to get a fresh start, where you guys can leave the governments, those wicked governments, and the wicked colonization mindset, come to a new place where the white supremacist system will use you to replace us, because you don't have an axe to grind against the U.S. government because they didn't enslave you. But if we went to where you come from, your government would do the same thing and use us against y'all, because we don't have an axe to grind with colonization in the Ivory Coast because they didn't enslave us. So what we have to do is understand how global white supremacy works and reject it all. Because when I was growing up, we wasn't enemies with Africans or Caribbean and vice versa. We wasn't at each other's throat. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you my experience growing up. And I see what go on with these other immigrant groups when they come here down to America. I see what they do. And we call it out. But they don't represent everybody, nor is every so-called African American on board. There's a lot of sellouts and sambos amongst our group too. But that's just my opinion. Leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Because my African homie. Oh, and lastly, depending on what African country they come from, I got a homie from Mauritania. Man, his take on white folks and white and pale Arabs, because they still enslaved there. Man, he worse than the African American. He can't stand them. My homie from Zimbabwe. Man, his take on global white supremacy. Vicious. I got a homie from South Africa. So Zimbabwe, South Africa, Ivory Coast, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Mauritania, Ivory Coast. These brothers and sisters I met from there, man, they on it. Man, they don't play, man. Then you got Africans that come from some of those places, and they more apt to be loving white folks than their own people. But there's a lot of Africans that's on it, but we're just not exposed to them the way we should be. But I have a chance to be because I talk to a lot of people. So leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Peace.
So, see, when I look at Caribbeans, right, when we talk about the FBA movement and delineation and stuff, I wouldn't put Black Caribbeans in the same box as Africans, because this is what I noticed. I noticed that when a Black Caribbean from places like Haiti or Jamaica or even Barbados, right? When they, I'll even include the Bahamas. When they come live in America, right, the U.S., and they stay there for a certain amount of time, they end up identifying with the struggle of FBA for sure after a while, but they have to live in places where it's a lot of non-Black people for them to really experience this, understand. So if they move to places where there are high populations of Black people, right, and those Black people are doing well, they're still not going to understand, right? But an African from Africa, when they come here, no matter what they experience, they're going to still have the same mindset and not understand where a lot of FBA are coming from, no matter what. The only time that changes is when they have kids, and those kids are raised here in America. And I'm talking about West Africans. West Africans, I don't know, it's like, I guess it doesn't affect them or they're oblivious, I don't know what it is. But Caribbeans, they tend to have understanding. I'll give you an example. So, I had a...
If you come from the island, you can agree with me on this one. Caribbean parenting and American parenting are two different parenting. You see, when Caribbean parents only talk once, and American parents have to talk 2, 3, 4, 5 times, sometimes the kids back talk them. Caribbean parent, you can't try that with them. If Caribbean parent tell you to do something one time and you don't do it, anything them hand can reach, them a grab it and them a fling it and lick you with it and give you a concussion. Caribbean parent will wait till you go take a shower. Them walk in a shower while the pipe run and start beat you. Caribbean parents will wait till you fall asleep, them start beating in your sleep. Caribbean parent will do some things to you, will make you have nightmare, PTSD. You see in America, these kids start back to them parents however them feel and do whatever they feel. If you come from the island, you know, say island parenting is a whole different parenting from American parenting. American parenting too soft. These kids get too much cut.
So I'm here to talk about the viral sensation that's going on right now between Africans and African American women. Are we really going to fall for this? This is 2020 Willie Lynch. Willie Lynch was a slave owner who supposedly wrote a letter on how to divide people so that they would fight within themselves and they wouldn't be able to recognize the bigger picture that's going on in the outside world. Some of the things that Willie Lynch said was, let's pit the old against the young. There's a lot of arguments going on about that right now. He said, let's pit the men against the women. Phew, we've all seen this. Let's pit light-skinned Black people against dark-skinned Black people. See, I mean, it's lasted through generations. We still see it. And the newest thing now is African women against African American women. And we're going to fall for it. So this is what we're going to ride on. This is what we're going down on. We're going to fall for this again. When the whole world is literally burning around us, we're going to make a decision to fight amongst each other. It doesn't make any sense and it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense and it's ridiculous. Stop. Stop. Okay, so let's talk about the issues. African women come here with a certain impression of who we are, and they come here with that. It's purposeful. They tell them in immigration, I've had a friend say this to me, that you look like them. The immigration says, you look like them, but you're not really them, because those people are crime-ridden, dirty, they don't have any manners, and they're lazy. And mind you, we've been called lazy since we stopped working for free. It's been a trope that they've used about Black people forever. It's not anything new. But you don't know that because you don't know our history. And you also don't know that the 1964 Civil Rights Act was how you got here. The literal blood, sweat, and tears of Black people in America. So for you to come to America and decide that, you know, you're somehow above us, it doesn't make any sense. I understand where you got it from. And we can have those conversations. and then black women. We don't have the same mannerisms. We don't have the same culture. We are westernized, and sometimes we're entitled. And sometimes we take that entitlement into the shops, into the restaurants, and we turn our nose at things that we don't understand. It's a very Western imperialistic way to look at things, and we have to check ourselves from time to time. So that's the fight. That's what's going on. Okay? Let's fix it. Next time you go into the braiding shop, how about we have a conversation about that? Next time you go into the restaurant, engage in a conversation on both sides to figure out what's going on. But what we're not going to do is take money out of another black woman's bank. We're not going after another black woman's bank. We are all we have. All over the world, they say. All over the world. People tell their children, if you are ever in trouble and you need help, go to a black woman. And we decide, oh, we don't like each other? Yeah, that's not happening. There's a lot of things that we need to fight, and we don't need to be fighting each other. And so I don't plan to boycott anybody. I'm not boycotting another black woman. I don't care what. And if we had that attitude across the board, we're already strong. We're already strong. If we had that attitude across the board, we could take it in, and we could do a lot of damage, bringing this structure down. So let's not fight with each other. Let's have a conversation, and stop this. Don't be Willie Live 2025. It's ridiculous. That's what it is.
I feel like I've seen that before. Like, if a twerk song comes on, a guy would go behind the girl, and then the girl would continue twerking.
I don't do that because I don't even know how to do that.
Bro, that's
how would I dance behind a girl that's twerking? I don't know.
You just stand there, bro.
I think guys just stand there.
Oh, that's dumb. That's dumb to me because I'm there like,
yeah. I think guys just stand there, let the girl do what they do.
I feel like that's worse than.
That's worse.
Yeah, bro. A girl,
yeah.
The guy's not doing nothing. He's like,
right.
She's doing everything. That's kind of, hey, bro. What's that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, like y'all not dancing.
Right.
Dancing is an art form. Caribbeans we dance is an art form. But besides the wine, it looks cool. It looks really nice.
You don't think twerking is an art form?
Okay, it is with the girl. If a girl's twerking myself,
right.
Now you put a guy in there. That looks. Well, that's not art. That's he's horny.
He is.
Yeah.
So there's a convo that's been going on TikTok that I've been seeing for like the last 3-4 days. And I kind of want to chime in a little bit about basically how Americans in New York feel like everything is Caribbean centered. And I gotta be real, they're not lying. Like, everything is Caribbean centered out here because everybody, well, let me not say everybody, majority of people from New York are Caribbean. If they're not Caribbean, they're Spanish. Everybody is from somewhere. But then there's some people that are just straight American. So when they go out and they go in certain clubs and certain places, they don't want to hear reggae and shit. And it's like, you can't be mad at them about that. That's not how they were raised. Now, coming from somebody like me, I'm American, right? I'm American. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. I'm American. However, my mother's family is from St. Croix, so I have Caribbean roots. I was raised listening to reggae. My mother used to take me to the Parkway on Labor Day. I still have family in St. Croix that I know them, but it's some of them that I've never met. Some of my grandma's siblings had thick ass accents. You know, I got a little sprinkle of Caribbean in me. You know what I'm saying? My mother was raised by Eastern Parkway. She eats nothing but Caribbean food. Like, my mother's American though, but she was raised, Caribbean because my grandma was born in St. Croix. She came here when she was a kid. My mom was raised with her grandma. My mom's grandma was born in St. Croix. She came here as an adult. So my mother was raised, in a more of a Caribbean household, kind of, I was raised American. My father's side of the family is from South Carolina. Somebody that's from the deep South or born in the South with no Caribbean roots, they don't want to hear no damn reggae and all that. That's not what they're into. You know what I'm saying? So I understand both arguments. So for me, again, I know some people are going to say, oh, you're not really American. I am American. I don't give a fuck what y'all talking about. I'm American. But I was born here, so I'm American. But some people that don't have no Caribbean roots, they don't have Caribbean friends, they weren't raised like that, they don't want to hear that. My phone cut off, but yeah, they don't want to hear that. Like, and you can't blame them for that. So, you know, I understand both arguments. People that are American, they don't want to hear reggae. When they go out, they want to hear rap, hip hop, and all of that. Like, that's how they were raised. So for me, I'm cool with both sides. I want to hear the trap, the hip hop, all of that. I'm cool with all of that. But at the same time, I want to hear reggae. I want to hear all of that too. But, like, I had a friend years ago. That nigga don't want to hear no reggae. He don't. He was born with Southern parents from North Carolina. He was not raised eating oxtails and all of that shit. He's not raised listening to no Vibes Cartel. He don't want to hear that. I gotta respect it. He was not raised like that. I could play reggae later. You know what I'm saying? So it just all depends on your upbringing. Because honestly, who's to say, like, if my mother didn't raise me going to the Parkway and listening to reggae and eating certain foods and being around, you know, my mother got like a couple of Jamaican friends and shit. Who's to say that I probably would be like, I don't want to hear that shit either. I probably would honestly still be the same way because I always had like Caribbean friends and shit. But like, if my mother didn't instill that in me in some way, I probably would be on the same time. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. At the same time, I'm still from New York at the end of the day, so I feel like it's in us. But if you come from someplace else and move to New York and you don't have no type of Caribbean roots, it could very much be a culture shock. Because you go from somewhere not hearing no Caribbean shit, not seeing Caribbeans, and then you move to someplace like here and it's Caribbean city, you're gonna be like, oh no, this is too much for me. So it's just like, I understand both arguments. If that's not how you were raised, you don't want to hear that, and you can't. They're not lying. Everything here is Caribbean centered, especially Flatbush. Flatbush is like baby Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? It really just depends on. If you had Caribbean friends growing up, you might be a little more open to listening to reggae or eating certain foods. I grew up, I just started eating oxtails a couple years ago, but my grandmother always made oxtails when I was a kid. I used to eat roti. I used, like, all of that, that's you know, that's not something I eat on a regular basis, though, like, because I eat American food. But I'm saying, I was raised on that. So if you bring somebody that's fully American to my house, they gonna think I'm Caribbean as fuck. But if you bring somebody who, like, I have Caribbean friends, born in Jamaica, born in Guyana, born in Trinidad, to them, I'm American. They like, oh, you ain't on shit. But to me, I'm looking at them like, oh, y'all Caribbean as fuck. Like, certain things I don't do. I'm not taking a shower with Dettol and all of that. I'm not doing that. But that's what they do. So, again, it just all depends. I have family. My mother's side of the family, again, it's Caribbean. But I got another whole portion of my family. I know them, but I don't really see them like that. They are from fucking Dykeman, and they speak Spanish. My great grandma's sister is from St. Croix, and her husband was Puerto Rican. He's old. He's like 90. All his kids are from Dykeman, from the Bronx, and they all speak Spanish. You wouldn't think that their mom is Caribbean at all. Why? Because they all speak fucking Spanish. Literally, the whole family speaks nothing but Spanish. They eat Spanish food. That's how they were raised. So again, it just all depends on your upbringing. And I can't lie, like, the whole American culture in New York, it do give like a little Caribbean center. Like, if people that are like fully 100% American, I feel like there isn't a lot of places for them to really go and do certain things, because everything, and you can't even deny this, especially if you're from New York, everything got some type of Caribbean in it.
And this just dawned on my mind while I'm here at work. Disregard, I know I need a haircut, but a lot of my friends, because, you know, I have friends with families, Southern families, like just African American friends. I'm Caribbean, so it's a different upbringing, because my friends be like, oh, you don't know black classics, you don't know all the R&B soul songs, 80s, 70s that you're supposed to know. Yeah, you know, because I had a young mom. She was playing Keisha. She was playing very much what was still relevant in early 2000s while I was growing up, feel me? Like, y'all grandparents was playing Marvin Gaye. My grandparents were playing Beres Hammond. It's a different experience. Like, no, I didn't grow up watching Friday and Barbershop and all of that. I was watching African movies.
Black privilege. Let's talk about it, because this is a very interesting concept that my American husband and I, as a Jamaican immigrant to America, talk about often. So let's define privilege. What does it mean? Privilege is a special advantage, a special opportunity, a special immunity that is given to a particular person or a particular group of people. And I often say to my husband that sometimes I feel as if I have black privilege because I was born and raised in Jamaica, which is a predominantly black country. When you're born and raised in a country like that, where the leaders are black, the government is black, it's majority black, you kind of grow up with this majority complex where you are not inclined to lead with your blackness or to lead with your race or to immediately recognize that I'm black, because it's just the way we are. It's just who we are. It's just the way we live. So when I moved to America 12 years ago, I showed up in the same way. Oftentimes I'd be in places and I wouldn't even realize I was the only black person there. We were the only black people in there until we had left. But my husband would, because that was just kind of his reality. And so there is this narrative going around that black people from the Caribbean who move to America, that we get certain preferential treatment over and above what black Americans receive in this country. And he and I will argue all the time, because I will say that's so unfair and it's so untrue, because when I moved to America, I literally had to start over professionally. I wasn't given any breaks, I wasn't given any promotions, I wasn't given any raises just because I came from a different country.
On the head, but with this one, I'm going to tell you that you missed. And I'm going to tell you the fuck why. If memory serves me correct.
Now, young lady, I am very fucking irritated that you are making me do this. You're making me come at an African black woman or a melanated African woman, because black only refers to us original, foundational, melanated, melanated Tamarian people who are currently labeled black. We are in our 10th to 11th transition into a whole nother group. See, from 1495 to 2025, people who look like me, again, I'm not from Africa, my family's not from Africa, I'm from Louisiana. My family and my people here have been persecuted and even held down by and disrespected by the incoming Africans who, according to my uncle, he said that African people did not start coming to this country until the 50s or the 60s, I believe it. 50s or the 60s, he said. That's when y'all finally start coming over from Africa on the boats. Now, he said people who are akin to Persians or Middle Easterners, which are just conquered Arab, Northeast African territories, just like Egypt. But I digress. And let me give you a little bit about me. Okay, I'm a young black man. I've been to 105 countries out of 196, 93 to 97. It changes. Who knows? But I've been to 105 countries. Okay. I've never spent less than every country I've ever been to. The least amount of time I've ever spent anywhere was like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, all the way up to 6 months. Okay, so I've gotten very well-rounded to whoever's culture that I'm around. And let me tell you something. I've never felt danger until I went to the African continent, and more like, Central to North African is where I was criticized. By Africans told me that I was lazy. Me and my people were lazy. Matter of fact, I had to leave all the people I was with because Y'all threatened my life, and y'all made me feel not wanted, and I did nothing to y'all. I was in different villages. I woke up early in the morning to go fish with you guys and do what y'all do, even though, again, Africa is made up of, I don't even know, 52, 54, 56 countries, something like that. There are thousands, many thousands, different thousands of ethnic groups, tribes, things of that nature. You know, the diversity within Africa is astounding. However, one thing I will say is, one thing that I can tell you from being to 105 countries on this planet, people from Africa, see, the rest of the world knows the difference between somebody like me and somebody like you. They don't even have to hear us talk, and they already know that I'm not from Africa. See, they know I'm from this land that they currently call the United States of America, or the North American Peninsula, from Luda to the Tuda, from Canada to South America, to Argentina, you dig? The natives that they like to say are natives, shout out to all the natives that told the truth and let it be known that y'all's heritage really from the Siberian Peninsula, you know, and the Inuits. You know, shout out to y'all. And the other bit of y'all who they are saying are natives to the North American land are really natives to the South American lands. Okay, there are certain territories, again, the territories that the Olmecs held on to, which are currently being, I believe, redefined and reclassified, just like the, you know, the European Mayan name and Incan names. Yeah, the Europeans, the Olmecs, you know, their name was kind of close, but it's a mispronunciation of what my ancestors called themselves. Let me tell you something about you Africans, man. Some of y'all are dope as hell, okay? Some of y'all are dope as hell. But Nigerians, some Cameroon, a lot of South African, a lot of, I've ran into some cool people from Burundi, some not. My Djiboutians, my Sudanese, the Ethiopians, my Eritreans, even though there's a lot of colorism and racist in that community because of the Arab mixture. Okay? Y'all think y'all are better than us. Africans, shout out to all the foundational Africans. Again, first off, I spent enough time in Africa to know that different African tribes or countries or territories, the several groups that inhabit a certain territory, they all look very distinguishable, okay? So I can say something like, you can tell who is a foundational an African or a Kebulan, a Kebulani, a Kebulan, a Kebulan. You can tell who's a traditional Kebulan and who's not, and who's a mixture. See, you know, the races, Europeans and America, you know, a long time ago bought a bunch of land that y'all turned into a African-American white supremacist colony out there that I don't even like bringing the name up. And again, if you want to take the words of a few ignorant, young Black Americans like myself and think that all Black Americans think all African food is gross, then you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. I currently have, at the minimum, 5 men, 5 women, out of every African country that I've been to, all but maybe 3, okay? I have 10 friends, very good friends from each country, who tell me the truth. And as a Black American, do you think it hurt my feelings when I heard that y'all are brought up to basically hate us? Every single foundational African community is brought up to specifically hate Black Americans. Now tell me why. Because we're not taught to hate y'all. We're not taught to hate anybody. We're taught to be weary of the police. We're taught to be weary of Karens and Kevins that for some reason inhabit a lot of the white supremacist or European American and European diasporas. See, 95% of all pale pink Euro K-Vapians only hang out with other Euro K-Vapians. Only 5% of Euro K-Vapians hang out with maybe one person of color or a black person. Because, and the reason why I separate black people from people of color is because, again, even in all of the people of color categories, y'all are still very racist against black Americans specifically. Now, I like to think of it as y'all maybe hate us or are jealous of us because of our likability and how we push the culture forward. We dominate world culture. Everybody want to be us till it's time to be us. And you Africans are taught to be racist against black Americans. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. And again, I know you said you're from the Caribbean. That also applies to the Caribbeans. Even though y'all are more closely related to black Americans than y'all are Africans. Y'all just don't know that yet for some reason. But don't worry, this is coming out. Again, I'm a historian, I'm an educator, high IQ. We can have these conversations all day, but they will be unfiltered and they will be truthful. So let's get at it. Get at them, you dig?